Dr. V. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a tough love reading. So this is a short reading. It's fun. It's meant to be, teach you something, give you some ideas, and also keep things a little bit lighthearted. So take the messages as they resonate. And this is also, I give you a profanity warning because I'm using the Rebel deck, which has a lot of profanity. So if that bothers you, it's probably best for you to click away now because, that's that. So couple quick things to start. If you're interested in joining me at Energy House in Long Beach, please get registered for that as soon as possible because seats are limited and it's selling out pretty quickly. Also, services, coaching programs, private readings, etc. is in the description box below. I also just posted a picture and a link in the community tab how to book a pay what you can reading for the month of June. That is a limited, space is also limited for that. So if you're interested, go ahead and do that. When I'm filled up with that, I will remove the link and not take any more appointments for June. So avail yourself to that if that's something that you want. So let's go ahead and get started. Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside. I call upon my ancestors, higher wisdom, divine love to be with me, guide me, protect this message, the energy of the listener and the person for whom it's listening. And so it is. Wow. All right, so I'm going to use first is these are called the therapy flashcards. You can get them on Amazon. That's where I was actually gifted these a few years ago. But anyway, you can get them on Amazon and they're called the therapy flashcards. And so how I'm going to start is I'm just going to cut the deck now and we're going to pull 3 cards. Basically, what is it that you need to know? What is it that's going on in your situation that is maybe causing some problems or something that you need to heal to move forward? So the first card that we have is intimacy. The next is attachment. And the next is distancing technique. So this is very interesting because I'm getting a pretty clear message just right off the top about intimacy and attachment. I've talked about this before on my channel, but there's healthy attachments, there's unhealthy attachments, and most people kind of fall between one of the two extremes. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what the card says. Intimacy. A quality of interpersonal connectedness and familiarity, emotional and empathetic between individuals, so on and so forth, characterized by fear of intimacy, resistance to self-disclosure, short-term relationships or longer relationships. It says, the comic at the bottom, don't push, dear, he's got problems with intimacy. So part of what's going on right now, part of what is the issue in your situation, whether it's with you or with the person that you are thinking about, well, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, we tend to mirror, especially in high-level soulmate connections, soulmates, twin flames, divine counterparts, whatever language you like to use, we mirror each other. And so if they have an intimacy block, or, if they're showing up and having intimacy problems, or they don't know how to be intimate or don't know how to share themselves, there's some aspect of you that is being mirrored in that. You might be the opposite where you go too far too fast. So you might have somebody in the connection who is reluctant to get involved or has some intimacy blocks where they maybe come in and come close and then pull away and then come close and pull away. Or they may just never want to get close at all. But if they're doing that, then it's mirroring some sort of intimacy issue on your end as well. So you might be the opposite, where you go all in like really fast right away, where you're like one of those people that has, meets somebody and you tell them all of your business on like the first date, or you get involved with somebody and you're, quote unquote in a relationship, like you change your Facebook status about being in a relationship like 2 weeks afterwards, okay? And that is, really rapid, too fast intimacy. So it feels like there's probably one or both of you that does that. One of you maybe stays away and blocks intimacy and disconnects and stays distant, and the other one tries to rush it, tries to go too fast. But what both of those things tell me is that there's some kind of attachment issue that's happening here. So in terms of attachment, there are what we would call, like the way that I describe it is there's like extremes, which is the person who can't attach at all. Okay, these are the people who are like avoidant. They have an avoidant attachment style. This is a person who's like just can't ever really be intimate with anybody or stay connected to anybody for a long period of time. They go back, like this is a person who may say like, I just don't know how, I can't let myself fall in love, or they sabotage any kind of attachment that they have. They keep themselves removed from other people because intimacy scares them. Attachment scares them. That's what we call an avoidant attachment style. Then we have the other extreme, which is people who are overly enmeshed attachment. These are the people who kind of lose themselves in relationships. These are the people who, their boyfriend likes football, and so suddenly they like football, even though they never did before. They just become overly attached. So let me read this to you. It says, a connection or emotional tie between individuals characterized by dependence, attraction, and or emotional satisfaction. The initial bond between an infant and its primary caregiver. The quality which influences the ability to bond later in life. Characterized by secure type, seeks and feels comfortable with social interaction and intimacy. Avoidant, insecure type, avoids interaction and intimacy. Ambivalent, resistant type, both seeks and rejects intimacy and social interaction. So when you see a securely attached person as somebody who is able to be in a relationship and like allow their partner, I don't even want to say allow their partner, but they don't feel threatened by their partner having outside interests, or they don't need to constantly be in contact. They're like, if their partner goes out on a girl's night or a boy's night, they're not like freaking out about it. That's what a healthy, secure attachment. There was an experiment that, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. It's a psychology thing. Like a securely attached infant, for instance, is somebody that can get distance and separate from their parent or toddler, and they don't freak out about it. They come back, they'll like go and explore, and then they come back and check to make sure that their parent is still there, and then they can go and explore some more. And so what I'm seeing here is that basically like people's ability to connect in an intimate way, part of what's blocking, part of what the challenges are for this connection, the person that you're thinking of for yourself, is that there's some intimacy and attachment issues, interacting and playing with each other. And so sometimes people might, like the ambivalent attachment, come close and then distance. This is someone who comes really close and wants to spend time, and then they just withdraw and get distant, and people get really confused by that. And so the other thing here, we have distancing technique. And it says, definition, the deliberate maintenance of psychological distance from and lack of emotional involvement with others in order to A, moderate a relationship's characteristics and intensity, B, cope with situations that could betray one's weaknesses or shortcomings. It's characterized by aloof coolness, resistance to intimate acquaintanceship, deflection in response to inquiry, non-committal tendencies, isolation, alienation, tendency to maintain long-distance affairs, or difficulty in starting local relationships. And it says, sir, your insistence on hierarchy is merely a distancing technique. So it's wild like how this reading is going right now, because these are all like literally speaking to intimacy issues. Okay, so here's the thing. The tough love message here is that why people are having issues in the situation, the relationship with the connection with whom you're thinking, is that one or both people have some kind of intimacy and attachment issues. This might show up in like fear of abandonment. And so a lot of times people who have abandonment issues because of something that happened in their childhood or in a past life, they'll either cling too tightly or they resist getting attached at all. And so that goes back to that secure or ambivalent attachment style. And so one or both of you might do this. You might do these distancing techniques where your relationships are all long distance, or the person that you're thinking of is somebody that you may never even have met. Like maybe you just connected on, not just connected, because I'm not going to pretend like internet connections aren't as real as in-person connections, because they are and they can be. But some of you may have, if you get really honest with yourself, you realize that you've never had a relationship or haven't had a relationship like in real life with a person that you're sharing space with, that you're, physically together with. Maybe your relationship is long distance. Maybe a lot of your relationships have been long distance. And that's something to think about, that maybe that's actually safe for you. Maybe it's actually safer to have somebody at a distance because it doesn't require the intimacy that you desire but also avoid. I know for sure, like when I was younger, before I worked through my own intimacy blocks, that was definitely something that I had more of a tendency to do. It was like, what's going on, what's being described here. And so it's like, again, no shame, there's no shade in this. It's just literally saying like, it's important to recognize it. And if you see yourself in this reading and you're like, yeah, I definitely have, a tendency to avoid intimacy, or I have a tendency to attract people into my life that avoid intimacy, that keep me at a distance, or that do this ambivalent, hot and cold, in and out kind of thing. Well, then you just have to ask yourself, well, what is it saying about you, and how do you need to move with those energies and navigate those so that you can shift your experience going forward. Because the unfortunate reality is that if we're experiencing this in our life, it's because we either have to learn something from it, or it's mirroring something back to us about ourselves that we have to heal. And as long as we're looking at the other person and being like, well, he or she has intimacy blocks, or he or she has attachment issues, and we're focusing on what they're doing or not doing, we're missing the opportunity to focus on what it's trying to teach us about ourselves. So let's look at, we're using the Rebel deck now, we're going to get some advice from Spirit on how to navigate these issues. Okay, so for the first thing, for the intimacy, it says, get the fuck outside, move your ass. Your body is pissed at you. So I feel like for a lot of people, because this intimacy, when you feel like when you feel a fear of intimacy or a lack of intimacy, or somebody is doing this in and out, hot and cold, I love you, I don't know, whatever, that kind of emotional fucking tightrope that you have to walk, or that you feel like you're walking, when that happens, it can be really, can throw you off. So I feel like this is saying like, look, get busy, go outside, get some exercise. If if you're not a big exercise person, literally just walking and moving your body and kind of discharging some of that emotion is going to really help you. Keep yourself busy, keep yourself engaged with life. I don't understand, like personally, I don't understand how anybody could ever be bored. I'm like, there's so much to do in this world and so much to do in this life that I can't even imagine what it would like to sit around and be like, I'm bored, I don't have anything to do. Go and do something. Go swim if you can, go to the ocean, go out into nature, go hike, go, whatever. Just seriously get out and do something more exciting and more fulfilling in your life. And take care of your body. That's going to be really something that helps you, especially because as you work through any kind of intimacy blocks that you have, or you start to realize that you really crave intimacy in a deeper way than you've been able to acknowledge before, some of that's going to be stored in your body. That's just the way life is. That's why there's a whole school of, it's called, not a school, but it's a practice of somatic psychology, which is the relationship between our bodies and our minds and our emotions. And so as you move your body and as you exercise and like just get outside and do some things, it's going to help shift and release some of those emotions that I'm getting. And then we have attachment, and the card for this one, I swear you guys, you can't make this shit up. Don't fucking force it. Allow that shit to come to you. So I'm reading a book by my friend Jacqueline Simon Gunn. She's a psychologist from New York State. I'll post a link to her Amazon page. But I'm reminded of a quote that I just read earlier this morning from her latest book. And it says, you can't force love. You open the door and let the beloved come in. And so here's the thing. For some of you, because of your insecure attachments, because let me say for some of us, let me rephrase that because it felt too like judgy, like I'm pointing a finger, which I'm not. Some of us with insecure or attachment issues might feel like we have to push, like somebody is withdrawing or somebody doesn't give us what we want. And so we do this push thing where we're like, wanting more. And so we push and we push and we push. And all that pushing does is actually push them away. They don't feel like they have the freedom to be able to, be who they are or whatever it is that they need. And so the more that you push, the more that you try to force the issue, it actually pushes them away. When you learn how to not try to force it, when you learn to just let things be and open up and allow things to come to you and release the attachment to having this person like come to you, because that usually means that there's some kind of unworthiness that's underneath that. When you need somebody to come to you, it's part of it is about needing to prove that you're worthy of love. Okay, that's kind of the underlying issue. You may have gotten a message in childhood that somehow you felt fundamentally unlovable, and so you're like chasing love as an adult, trying to find somebody who can, prove that you're worthy, prove that you are worthy of love, or whatever is going on with that. And this is literally saying, release that and allow it to come to you. What's meant for you, it will come to you. It's yours. You can't force it. You can't, and you also can't miss it. And so part of this, like learning to have healthy attachments, is really having the ability to release and let go. If somebody isn't calling you, you just go, okay, cool. They're not calling. You release it. You let it go. If somebody doesn't show up the way that they say that they're going to show up, you release it and you let it go. You don't try to force it. You're not chasing after somebody trying to make them love you. Okay. And so for this last card, the advice from Spirit is detox. It says, drink a smoothie, unfriend that asshole, and throw some shit out. I love that. This distancing technique really is, part of it is about keeping people at a distance. Okay. Part of it is keeping people at a distance. And this detox for me is literally about saying, maybe that's a behavior. Maybe that's an adaptation that you need to overcome and to detox from. So it's like the card here, it says, it's talking about aloofness and coolness, resistance to intimate acquaintanceships, deflection. And you need to detox from that kind of behavior. Now, if there's someone in your life that's unhealthy, that's toxic, it may be time to unfriend, like the card says, unfriend the asshole and move on with your life. But it also could be just really about you detoxing from that behavior and recognizing when you're distancing yourself. Recognize the ways in which you behave that keep you from having intimacy with another person. This can be like, self-imposed isolation. This can be avoiding friendships. This can be not going out and building community. There's a number of things that this could relate to, but at the end of the day, it's time to detox from that. When I see this throw some shit out, not only is it physical, right? There are some physical things that you may need to release in your life. You may need to clean a closet, clean off your bookshelf, clean out your shoes, whatever it might be. Go watch the life-changing magic of tidying up if you have Netflix. Read the book from, check it out from your library. I don't know if you guys know this, but most libraries now, if you have a library card, you can check out audiobooks and so on and so forth. I'm a huge fan of audiobooks and things like that from the library. So if you don't have that, you don't have to order or buy every book. You can check it out on your library for free. But really clear out some stuff, okay? Clear out some things that you need to release once and for all. If you haven't worn it for a while, throw it out. But part of that is also about doing some internal detoxing and some cleansing of your own mental and emotional stuff. You know, if this reading is resonating, or even if it's irritating you, if you're feeling triggered by it, that's a good thing. If you feel triggered by something, it's a sign that there's something there that needs to be healed. And so instead of avoiding triggers, instead of avoiding having painful conversations or looking into painful behaviors or things that don't necessarily serve you, it's important to learn how to lean into those behaviors and lean into those triggers and acknowledge, I'm triggered because this is something that bothers me. This is something I do, or I'm feeling myself in this, like I'm hearing about myself in this message and it's bothering me. And so instead of running away from it and being like, you know, whatever, I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to hear what's being said so that I can change things and move forward in a healthier way. So whatever that looks like for you, okay, whatever you need to do. I mean, this part of this could be what just came through, the messages that just came through about detoxing could literally be about like going through your phone and unfriending, or not unfriending, deleting people in your life. Let's say that you have people in your life that have kind of mirrored this ambivalent attachment. So maybe it's like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend who has always like kept you on the hook, where they like will text you or they'll call you, or they're like, you know, they never really want to let you go, but they never really want to stay either. And they don't ever really show up the way that you want them to, or the way that you even need them to. And so that's what, if that's the case, delete them. Seriously. Like if you've been dealing with somebody for more than like a couple, like a short, more, I mean, literally, I think more than just like a couple, a few months. If you've been dealing with someone for years that has like always comes back and they're like, oh, you're amazing, you're awesome, whatever. And then they're like, but then they never really show up for you like the way that you want them to. Like if you were hoping for a relationship or for intimacy, delete them. Just move the fuck on. Like there's literally no reason to keep holding on to people that have shown you over and over and over again that they can't show up and meet you where you're at. So maybe it's time to just say, you know what? It's time to let this person go. It's time to detox emotionally and clear out any stagnant energy. Man, I got goosebumps all over my body right now. Seriously, like just literally create that sacred space for yourself where you eliminate all these people or any kind of energies, even if it's a soulmate or a sacred bond that you have, where you're like, look, I know what I want, I know what I deserve, and I'm not okay with having to chase after this relationship. I won't do it anymore. And so they know how to find me, they know how to reach me, and when they're ready to come through, if they're ready to come through with a real offer of love and genuine connection, cool. If not, I'm not wasting the pretty anymore. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my energy and my affection on somebody who can't return it, who has shown me repeatedly that they can't return it. That's what this detox is. Throw some shit out. And that might mean clearing out some people. If they don't spark joy, like Mary Kondo says, if they don't spark joy, if your connection with them feels heavy and it feels weighted down and you feel like yucky every time you have a conversation with them, it's time to release that and time to create some space where you're taking care of you, okay? Where you're taking care of you, you're nurturing yourself, you're not pushing, you're not forcing, you're just opening up and allowing what wants to come to you, the space to come in. So I hope this reading was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Take care. Bye.